Are you having trouble paying your rent? Have you lost your job because of COVID-19? Have you received an eviction notice or threat from your landlord? Has your landlord turned off your utilities or changed your locks? Are you worried that you will be evicted soon? Did you know that you have protections from eviction right now? In Illinois, you cannot be evicted right now if you can't pay your rent or if your lease expires. The governor has issued executive orders with an eviction moratorium that stops all evictions except in very limited circumstances. An eviction moratorium means it is illegal to evict a tenant because they cannot pay their rent. But to prevent an eviction, you must give your landlord the Illinois Tenant Declaration. The governor's most recent executive orders say that landlords cannot start an eviction in court if you have signed a declaration. A tenant who is a covered person is eligible to sign the declaration. The declaration has to be signed by a tenant and given to the landlord. The tenant should keep a copy for their records. The declaration form can be found here. Be aware that a tenant who signs the declaration is signing it under penalty of perjury if they make any false or misleading statements. If you are not behind in rent, but your lease has expired, you cannot be evicted for that reason and you do not have to sign a declaration. A tenant is a covered person if the tenant has income of less than $99,000 a year or $198,000 if taxes are filed jointly and is unable to make a full rent payment due to a COVID-19 related hardship, such as substantial loss of income, loss of hours at work, or an increase in out-of-pocket expenses directly related to COVID-19. A tenant who is a covered person must use their best efforts to make timely partial payments, taking into account other non-discretionary expenses like food, utilities, phone, internet, school supplies, medical expenses, and transportation expenses, including car payments. Lastly, a tenant is a covered person if they would likely become homeless or be forced to double up in close quarters because they do not have other available housing options. This means that a tenant who is a covered person should try to make partial payments and keep a record of any partial rent payments they make. A covered person will still owe rent as well as late fees, possible penalties, and interest when the eviction moratorium is over. Also, a landlord can still try to evict a tenant who is a covered person if a court finds that the tenant is a direct threat to the health and safety of other tenants or an immediate and severe risk to property. When the eviction moratoriums end, your landlord can require full payment of all past due rent, including late fees, and can file an eviction case against you. As rental assistance programs become available, be sure to apply for them as soon as possible. To find rental assistance, check with your local United Way or LIHEAP agency. If you would like to talk to a lawyer about the Illinois Eviction Moratorium and Declaration, or the CDC Declaration, or any other legal issue, please call the Land of Lincoln Legal Aid Legal Advice and Referral Line at 877-342-7891.